Hey guys, here we are for a short track guide in the Mazda MX5 Cup at the Rudskogen Motorcenter. For this track guide, I'm going to show you the hot lap first, and then I'm going to break down the lap in slow motion and show my approach to each corner. Now let's head on to the hot lap. Now let's break down the lap in slow motion. So as we're starting our lap here, approaching turn 1, we're looking on the right hand side of the track as we actually skip a bit forward. And we're going to be braking just like a car length before the curbing starts here, around 80%, and then quickly trailing off, turning in, trying to get a bit of the curbing, but not too much, and then partial throttle just to get the car stabilized on exit, then getting on the brakes a bit just for some rotation, waiting a little bit for the car to rotate before getting onto partial throttle, then waiting until you can strain out the wheel mostly to get to full throttle. Using up most of the track, not all the track, and then pulling the car back just for to drive the line with least resistance. Now as we go down the hill here, you can use the brake markers on the right hand side, but I actually like using the rocks on the left hand side. So I'll show what I mean. As we're going down the track here, looking on the rocks, and as soon as the rocks end around there, as soon as you can't see them, getting on the brakes, around 50%, I got a little bit of oversteer on the brakes here, and then getting back in the throttle again for stability, just a little bit, around 30%, or around 50% or so, and downshifting to second, a bit more oversteer, try to minimize this if you can, but trying to apex at the end of this curbing here, that way you don't run out too wide here. Trying to bring the car over to the right hand side for a wide approach to this chicane, and trying to use up all the curbing on the left hand side, try not to get a cut course though, letting off the gas a bit as you enter each of these S's, using up all the track again, and then getting on the brakes and trying to take a tight line through here. Some cars you can run out wide and then cut back, but this car just doesn't really have that much power, so you just want to try to take the shortest line through both of these like double left-handers. Trying to wait to get on the gas until you can see the Continental sign. That kind of gives you a good idea that you'll be able to get the exit and you won't run too wide. As we go down the hill here, looking on the right-hand side for your brake marker, I'll be braking just before the 50-meter sign, downshifting to second, and then waiting before you downshift to first. If you downshift to first too early, you're going to get a lot of oversteer on entry, so just trying to wait between those downshifts. And then as you start to unwind the wheel, getting back to full throttle, trying to use all the track on exit. Now as you're approaching this wide left-hander, trying to bring your car all the way over to the right-hand side, try to get your car all the way over on top of the curbs here, and once you can see this like straight line of curving here, you can see how it kind of curves over. So try to get yourself positioned where you're kind of straight with this curbing. Getting on the brakes around 20%, and then trailing off as you get to the apex, using up all the curbing on the inside. Getting back to full throttle on corner exit. And as you're approaching the penultimate corner, trying to take all the curve on the inside as well, but partial throttle through it, that way you don't approach this corner with too much speed. Small tap of the brakes, try not to run too wide in the middle here. It's got to be like a bit of a double apex, but trying not to diamond it too much, that way you get stuck outside. It's about a car length roundabout wide in the middle of the corner, and then cut back to the apex, back to full throttle, use up all the track on exit here. It's actually It's it's quite forgiving in terms of how much curbing you use. They don't really give you 1x or anything, so use up as much as you can, back to full throttle, and that's a lap around Rudskogen Motorcenter. So that was a 134.321 lap, and here are the settings that were used. So I'm going to play that lap one more time from chase view, but thanks for watching and hope you enjoyed.